begin speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam, I'd like to thank Krishna Chandra Prabhu for hosting this wonderful event and giving me the opportunity to come and to be in all of your association. It was actually pretty spontaneous on my part to be here. It was unexpected, but now that I'm here, I'm so happy to be amongst all of you, and I've been hankering for it for a long time. So I thank you for allowing me to be here. Although I would prefer to be hearing from the saintly persons here. Unfortunately, I found myself in a situation of pretending to be somebody who knows something about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. But I have faith that in the order of Srila Radhanath Maharaj, who's ordered me to give this class, that I may be able to say something relevant at least to your spiritual life and to my own purification, which is another significant reason why I should be sitting here, because I need as much purification as I can get. And the message of Srimad Bhagavatam is very cleansing to the heart and forces one to look inside himself and to present the message in a way that's understandable and which is transparent, so that for the welfare of others. So, on the strength of Srila Radhanath Maharaj's strong request, I won't call it an order. It happened last night while we were taking prasadam together. He said, I can't order you, but I very humbly request you that you must give this class. So, that's an order. Couched in traditional Radhanath Maharaj style. So I've selected a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Prayers by Queen Kunti, text number 29. And since there is no board, I'll simply read the verse, and we can do the word for word, and then I'll read the translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naveda kaschid bhagavangscha kirsitam tavihamanasya ninam vidambanam nayasya kaschid dayatosti karhichit dveshyascha yasmin vishamatirninam. Word for word. Na. No one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and are so misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Lord's mercy upon the fallen souls is equally distributed. He has no one as the specific object of hostility. The very conception of the personality of Godhead as a human being is misleading. His pastimes appear to be exactly like a human being's, but actually they are transcendental and without any tinge of material contamination. He is undoubtedly known as partial to his pure devotees, But in fact, he is never partial, as much as the sun is never partial to anyone. By utilizing the sun rays, sometimes even the stones become valuable. Whereas a blind man cannot see the sun, although there are enough rays before him, enough sun rays before him. Darkness and light are two opposite conceptions, but this does not mean that the sun is partial in distributing its rays. The sun rays are open to everyone, but the capacities of the receptacles differ. Foolish people think that devotional service is flattering the Lord to get special mercy. Factually, the pure devotees who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are not a mercantile community. A mercantile house renders service to someone in exchange for values. The pure devotee does not render service unto the Lord for such exchange, and therefore the full mercy of the Lord is open for him. Suffering and needy men, inquisitive persons, or philosophers make temporary connections with the Lord to serve a particular purpose. When the purpose is served, there is no more relation with the Lord. A suffering man, if he is pious at all, prays to the Lord for his recovery. But as soon as the recovery is over, in most cases the suffering man no longer cares to keep any connection with the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is open for him, but he is reluctant to receive it. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a mixed devotee. Those who are completely against the service of the Lord are considered to be in abject darkness. Those who ask for the Lord's favor only at the time of necessity are partial recipients of the mercy of the Lord. And those who are 10% engaged in the service of the Lord are full recipients of the mercy of the Lord. Such partiality in receiving the Lord's mercy is relative to the recipient, and it is not due to the partiality of the all-merciful Lord. When the Lord descends on this material world by his all-merciful energy, he plays like a human being, and therefore it appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees only, but that is not a fact. Despite such apparent manifestation of partiality, his mercy is equally distributed. In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all persons who died in the fight before the presence of the Lord got salvation without the necessary qualifications, because death before the presence of the Lord purifies the passing soul from the effects of all sins. And therefore the dying man gets a place somewhere in the transcendental abode. Somehow or other, if someone puts himself open in the sun rays, he is sure to get the requisite benefit both by heat and by ultraviolet rays. Therefore the conclusion is that the Lord is never partial. It is wrong for the people in general to think of him as partial. Translation again. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and are so misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksha Unminita. So in this verse, from the prayers of Queen Kunti, we get a little glimpse into Krishna's personality. It is very difficult to understand Krishna's personality. Atapi te deva padambuja dvaya prasadala sanaguhite vihi. Unless one gets a drop of mercy from the lotus feet of Krishna, he can never understand the greatness of Krishna's personality, even though he may study the Vedas for many, many years, many births. One requires some mercy to understand Krishna's personality. It is hidden to those who do not obtain that drop of mercy, who are not anxious, who are not eager for that mercy. We know the Lord is very merciful and very kind. And this verse describes how the Lord is equal. He's not partial to anyone. He's equally disposed, but it's dependent upon the quality of the receptacle and how one obtains the full mercy or partial mercy of the Supreme Lord. Just like it says that a person who is suffering, he may look for relief for suffering, but he is a partial recipient of the mercy of the Lord. He may get relieved from his suffering, but then he thinks, because my suffering is gone, now I need no longer a connection with the Lord. So he really does not get the full mercy of the Lord. The full mercy of the Lord, of course, means to be able to understand Krishna's personality and to obtain pure devotional service and establish one's eternal relationship with the Supreme. The Lord is described in the Bhagavatam, that was that verse to, I think, Yudhishthira Maharaj, was described that Krishna has become your friend, he's become your messenger, guru, God. But I see that you are very fortunate because he's become your servant. The Lord will give one liberation very easily, but he does not give devotional service so easily, because when he gives devotional service, he has to give himself. So therefore, it's not so easily obtained. Although we know that by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that although the subject matter of bhakti is very difficult to understand, nonetheless in the age of Kali, Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that he has made it very easily accessible, even to those who are unqualified for such mercy. But nonetheless, either way, mercy is required. And the Lord is purchased and inclined to give his mercy to those who have unflinching faith in the process of pure devotional service. This was illustrated very nicely in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto. There's a very famous pastime which we all know. It is the pastime of Krishna and Mother Jasoda. When Mother Jasoda, she was trying to bind her son with ropes because of her son's mischievous behavior. We all know this Leela. We hear it during the month of Kartik very often. And we know that ultimately how Krishna allowed himself to become bound by Mother Jasoda because of her pure love. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a very detailed commentary in his Saratra Darshani, which helps us to understand how Krishna gives his mercy. He explains that when Krishna, he was engaging in mischievous activities. We know he was taking stones, breaking open the pots of butter and yogurt, distributing the contents to the monkeys. And he was having a very good time. It was his enjoyment. In fact, he was having such a good time that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that Krishna didn't want to be tied by Mother Jasoda. She's going to tie. He didn't want to be tied because he wanted to continue to play with his friends, and he wanted to continue to steal butter. So that was his desire. And because that was his desire, two potencies of the Lord manifested within his body. One of those potencies was called the Vibhuti Shakti potency. That Vibhuti Shakti potency is the potency which reveals something mystical, the greatness of the Lord's potencies. What was that Vibhuti Shakti potency? That Vibhuti Shakti potency was that when Mother Yasoda was trying to tie the rope, every time she attempted to tie it, it was always 2 fingers too short. That's mystical. Especially since not only should she take one piece of rope, but she took many pieces of rope and she tied them together. And you would think that the additional length would very easily fill the gap. But because of Krishna's Vibhuti Shakti, the rope was not able to be tied. And it's described another potency manifested in Krishna's body, which is called his Satya Sankalpa Shakti. Satya Sankalpa Shakti is the potency of the Lord which fulfills each and every desire of the Lord. Whatever he desires is fulfilled. So the Satya Sankalpa Shakti manifested in such a way because Krishna, what did he want? He wanted to continue to play with his friends. And he wanted to continue to steal butter. That was his desire. So Mother Yasoda, no matter how hard she tried, even though she took all the ropes from the house and tied them together, they were still insufficient. Then all the other elderly cowherd women, they came and she said, and they said to Yasoda, they were taunting her. They said, Yasoda, what, can't you see that it is your son's good fortune today? He's not going to be tied. Why don't you stop and just accept that he has good fortune and cannot be tied to you by any endeavor on your part? And Mother Yasoda, she said to the elderly cowherd woman, she said, I want to see the extent of my son's waist. Please, all of you, you all go to your home and you all get as much rope as you can find in the whole village. What to speak of my own home? I want all the ropes in the whole village. You bring them here. I will tie up my son. So Mother Yasoda, she had this desire. She wanted to tie up Krishna. And she wanted to find out the extent of his waist. And she worked very hard to tie him up. Even though she got all the ropes in the village and added each rope, still it was insufficient. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, when there is competition between the devotee and between the Lord, the devotee's determination always prevails. A very interesting point. Competition between the devotee and the Lord. Krishna, he has a desire. Such a Sankalpa Shakti was there. Vibhuti Shakti was there. Such a Sankalpa Shakti was preventing Yasoda from tying him. But what did Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur go on to explain? He said that actually, when he saw the hard labor of Mother Yasoda, and the word that is used in the verse is parishrama. Parishrama means, Prabhupada actually talks about this word, parishrama, when he describes apavarga. There's one way he uses, with pa, ba, and ma, right? One of them was parishrama, hard labor, with the cause of bondage. When the living entity is working so hard, then pena, then foaming at the mouth. But this parishrama that was used in this verse in relationship to Mother Yasoda is not that type of parishrama. Mother Yasoda, she was working so hard, and perspiration was coming from her. Not only was she working hard trying to tie up her son, but she just was running around the whole yard chasing him in her attempt to catch him. When Krishna saw this hard labor of his mother, this Purishramra and also the Kripa Shakti manifested. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, when the devotee manifests such hard labor in his attempt to serve the Lord, then what happens is that Krishna's heart becomes soft, just like butter, and it melts. And when his heart becomes soft like butter and it melts, what does he do? He wants to give his mercy to that devotee. And it is by that mercy of the Lord, that Kripa Shakti, that mercy of the Supreme Lord, that was manifest, that Jasoda was able to finally bind Krishna. The 2 inches, or the 2 finger lengths, which that distance was filled, as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur described, that 2 fingers distance was filled by the hard labor of Mother Jasoda. Therefore Krishna became very merciful. And not only that, but then he allowed himself to become bound. Even though he had his own desire, Mother Jasoda's desire defeated him. He allowed himself to become defeated by his devotee. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes 2 other qualities. He says that there is Bhakti Nishta. And he says Bhakti Nishta is the determination of the devotee to serve Krishna despite whatever reversals, whatever obstacles there are. We know Nishta means conviction, firm faith. When there is Bhakti Nishta, then there is Svanishta. What is Svanishta? It's Krishna's consistency. He's consistent. It's his own Nishta. What is Krishna's own Nishta? His own Nishta is that when his devotee, he sees the hard labor of the devotee. It is his Bhakta Vatsalya, that quality of allowing himself to become defeated by his devotee. And therefore reciprocating. Even though his own desire is there, his desire is defeated by the devotee's intense desire to please the Lord. Therefore we say that to obtain the mercy of the Supreme Lord requires great faith. It requires great persistence. This faith, this Shraddha, is described to be the characteristic or the eligibility for pure devotional service. In the commentary, Srila Prabhupada talks about 4 types of persons who approach Krishna. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukuta ojana arto jigaso artarti ganicha bharatarshaba. There are 4 types of persons who approach the Lord. Those who are distressed, those who are inquisitive, those who are in need of wealth, and those who are wise. Prabhupada speaks about these different persons who approach the Lord and how each of them get mercy to a particular degree. But he says the pure devotee of the Lord, because he does not have a mercantile consciousness, the pure devotee of the Lord is the devotee whose one and only desire is to bring about the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Bhakti Aloka, he describes that there's the karmi, the jnani, and the bhakta. So the devotees, they went and they called Satyabhama to come. And Satyabhama, she went, she took bath, she got ready to fulfill her service to Krishna. And she began, she's showing, well, how great are these devotees in Braj. She began speaking this way. And then Krishna from his own mouth, Narada Muni was hearing his own mouth how Krishna was saying, these devotees are the most dear. I will do anything for these devotees. I will give up anything that I have for these devotees in Braj. Don't you understand, foolish woman? You are foolish if you cannot understand how much I have attachment and love for these devotees. He said, but I cannot go there, because if I go there to that place, then their feelings of separation are so intense, they're thinking that I will soon leave, and their suffering increases even double. Therefore, I cannot even go there to fulfill their, but they control me completely by their love. And Krishna went on describing the glories of the devotees in Vrindavan. And then they asked, where is Narada? And Narada was afraid to come in. He was afraid to come in because he thought that it was his inquiry at the beginning, when he first arrived in Dwarka. He was the person responsible for bringing suffering. And Krishna told Narada, Narada, you are so very dear to me. Do you know what the most dear thing a person can do for a devotee? Anyone who reminds a person of those he loves the most is rendering the most dear, confidential servant. You should not be ashamed of what you have done. You have satisfied me in such a great way by reminding me of my devotees of Vrindavan. I want to give you a benediction. Please let me give you a benediction. And Narada Muni was thinking, oh Lord, I don't want any benediction from you. I'm not a merchant. And the Lord insisted, no, I want to give you a benediction. So Narada Muni, he asked, please give me the benediction. That the nature of your devotional service will be such that a devotee will never think he has enough of your mercy. A devotee will never think that he has enough love for you. That a devotee will never think that he is doing enough service for you. I ask for that benediction. Krishna says, Narada, why are you asking for such a benediction? Don't you know that is the nature of bhakti? Don't you know that benediction is already fulfilled? That is the nature of my devotee. My devotee never thinks he has enough of my mercy. He never thinks he has enough love for me. He never thinks he's doing enough service for me. Ask him for me a better benediction than this. And he says, my Lord, then I ask for the benediction that may I travel everywhere, and may I simply describe your wonderful pastimes with your devotees to whomever I meet. And that may those persons who hear these wonderful pastimes understanding their importance. May they be given the benediction that they have been able to get the opportunity to render confidential devotional service to your lotus feet. This is the benediction I ask from you. The Lord was very pleased by Narada's benediction, request for benediction. He said, yes, let it be. That is the nature. That is Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy is that he makes himself available in that place where his devotees are always eager to talk about him. Nahim tishtami vaikunte yogi nam hridayeshuva tatsa tishtami Narada yatra gayanti madbhakta. He says, Narada, I'm not found in the Vaikuntha planets. Nor will you find me in the hearts of yogis. Where will you find me? You'll find me in that place where my devotees are always discussing my glories. That place I go personally. I will come. He is so merciful. So those who have faith in these pastimes of the Lord and who do not give them up and always are very eager to go on hearing, drinking the nectar emanating from the lotus feet of Krishna and from the lotus feet of the devotees of the Lord, such persons, they can conquer the Lord, who is otherwise unconquerable by anyone in the three worlds. Anyone who simply gives his ears to hearing these transcendental narrations, which are spoken by the Lord personally and by his devotees, They can conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is otherwise unconquerable by anyone in the three worlds. We should never think we cannot achieve that success in this life. That is Shraddha. And therefore it is recommended that a devotee, if he has this Shraddha, and he goes on being happy to engage in Krishna service in this way, being happy to serve the Supreme Lord, always expecting His mercy and always being patient for the day when that mercy will come, that someday he will receive that mercy of Krishna and he'll understand the greatness of Krishna's personality. These pastimes, otherwise, to the non-devotees, they're very bewildering. But for the devotees, they can be understood by the mercy of Krishna. I'll read the verse one more time. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and are so misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki